Welcome to What the Hell. Today I'm going to talk with is it Johnny Skelton?
Yes, Johnny, yeah.
Johnny Skelton, and he's going to talk about his time in the Army and the pipeline through infantry. Because I was always wondering, because I've gotten what the pipeline through all the tier 1 stuff and everything like that, what you have to go through and everything, but no one really talks about infantry. Because infantry, even, well, except for like the Marine Corps, where everybody's an infantryman, but,
Yeah.
well, they got a longer boot camp.
Well, you got more habits to break in the Marine Corps, I guess.
Yeah, and you gotta, I mean, Jack Manonville was talking about the one time that he was shot while cleaning a gun, and it was the other guy's fault. It was, I'll link you the thing of him doing that because it was so hilarious. Because Jack Manonville was freaking hilarious. But go ahead. I understand the boot camp and everything like that. It's not as severe as the Air Force, because the Air Force, when I went through, it was only like 6 weeks. All we did was like march.
Yeah.
But
well, when I signed up, I reported 25th of July back in '95. So we flew out of the Oklahoma City MEP station, and you get one of your first introductions to the efficiency of the government. We flew from Oklahoma City to Chicago O'Hare, then back to Atlanta.
actually, you know what's really strange about that? For some ungodly reason, it's just the flight path. Well, when picking up my daughter from South Dakota,
Mm-hmm.
we still had to go through O'Hare. I don't know why.
I don't know, but
Because I was looking at the curvature and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, that doesn't make sense.
and here I am. I'm shipping out when I'm 17,
Yeah.
and I made a my straw cowboy hat made it to basic training. So I'm walking through Chicago O'Hare Airport. Basically, from what I saw, is the only straw cowboy hat.
Nothing strange about that.
No, nothing strange about it at all. The stewardess, she was like, well, are you guys shipping out, or what are you guys doing? I'm like, man, we're going to basic training. Oh, thank you so much. And so she got us like little shot bottles off the cart. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool.
This shit might work out for me.
I'm like, all right, but I mean, we got to Atlanta, and there's two different trains of thought about the Atlanta airport. It's either the most organized in the world, or it is the most chaotic, disorganized clusterfuck on the face of the planet.
It is the most chaotic one I've been through.
Yeah.
Funny story is I had when I was going to Bahrain after 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
me and Samantha Jackson, she's from Georgia.
Yeah.
And we were stuck together because we were from the South, and we're just so used to each other, and we just loved to talk to each other. And we walked by this one black lady. She pulled her kid. It's like, if you're gonna act like a dog, I'm gonna treat you like a dog. And just yanked him. And both me and her just looked at each other and like, yep, we're still in the South.
Yeah. You go north of the Mason-Dixon, and you start seeing people jerk their kids out like that. You're like, they're not from here. But we get to Atlanta, and you can kind of tell who was there to report for basic, because we all had the same look on our face, like, we were lost.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially for me, it was, our first time being away from home. And, so we kind of like start congregating around, and, we were told, be on the lookout for, drill sergeants, look for guys in uniforms. I mean, that's what we were doing, but all we had was these like old retired guys that were driving the buses. And they're like, you guys reporting for Fort Benning? We're like, yes, sir. Get your asses over here. We're just like, okay, And,
Lemmings, basically.
Yeah, and So I mean, you know, we're sitting there, and the bus driver's like, "Well, we're fixing to head out, so if you this is your last chance to smoke or dip before we get there, because they're gonna make you throw all that shit away." And you just saw it. Everything's coming out of the woodwork. Cans of Copenhagen. Dudes would break out some Skull, and the Copenhagen guys would look at the Skull guys like they were, a little light.
I feel that was a trap.
No, no, it wasn't. I mean, not with the bus drivers, but it was like.
But once you got there.
Oh, well, you had your amnesty period,
Oh, okay.
So when you got there, we had one of the drill sergeants come in. We're there in the replacement building, or the reception building rather, and he's like, he was explaining what the amnesty box was. If you got any contraband, this, and this, this is your chance to put it in now, because if we find anything after your amnesty period, you're gonna regret it. So we were like, okay, and so. I mean, when we come in and, they're like, all right, well, dump your personal bags on the floor. And we're all on the benches at this point. There's no bunks or nothing to dump, So we dump all of our bags and we're going through our personal gear real quick. We're pushing all of the contraband aside, They're like, no disposable cameras, blah, 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 And this was, in the mid-90s, before everybody and their sister had a cell phone. For you kids, yes, this is a time when cell phones used to be charged by the minute. And if you had a cell phone, it was probably prepaid,
or it's for a company.
Yeah, or it was for a company, and it was and this was before the Nokia phones that came out too. So, yeah. But we would put chewing gum, tobacco, whatever, and then after that, it was just. You were officially under lock and key. So, like, I had already had a high and tight, when I shipped, but I knew I was going to get bald the next day, So, I mean, like that first day, I mean, you're doing your basic in processing stuff, whether it be immunizations or, going through your SGLI and, you're just doing your basic, like your uniform fittings and stuff like that. I think uniform fittings was like first thing on the checklist.
See, I got totally screwed. The first week that we're there, I think the only thing we did was because we were told pack light.
Yeah.
I packed light. I had like 5 pairs of underwear, 5 pairs of socks, jeans, t-shirts. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We went a week without getting new uniforms.
Well, I mean, theoretically, you can wear the same pair of underwear like 2 days in a row. So
you can switch it out.
Yeah, switch it out.
But I thought we were getting clothes like when we got there.
Yeah, and
so I had a Hawaiian shirt for like 5 weeks. That didn't get me anything.
Hell, dude. I mean, if anything, that got you more attention from the drill sergeants.
But it was all love.
Yeah, exactly. So immunizations, I think, was day 2. And did you ever get the peanut butter shot? You had to hold it in your hand and then warm it up, and then they put the needle on there, and then they gave you the shot right in your ass.
Yeah.
Right.
We had all of our shots were the air gun.
Yeah, I have no idea what was in this. I forget what it. I mean, I used to know a long time ago. I've been to sleep since then, but it left a golf ball in your ass cheek, and you could tell. You could always tell who had just gotten the shot because they would all be sitting down like this, and so. I mean, the drill sergeant, you just see them all laughing, and when later on we figured out that they were plotting, because like the next day, when they woke everybody up for PT, I forgot that I was on the top bunk. And I roll out of the bunk, my feet hit the floor, gravity grabbed that golf ball in my ass cheek and just pulled. And I hit the floor, and I'm like, And so PT that morning was grass drills, up, down, front, back, left, right, side straddle hops, and flutter kicks. I mean, so flutter kicks, you're on your butt anyway doing flutter kicks, and then you got to put your hands up underneath you just, because to do the correct form. And yeah, after PT was over with, I mean, my ass cheek was still sore, but it didn't hurt as bad, and the golf ball was definitely reduced. But we go through, and I mean, you still had free access to all those phones, and drill sergeants are like, don't get used to making phone calls yet, and so we're making phone calls basically every night, and you can tell this was back in the day because it was like I had my mom and dad's calling cards. I'm calling home, and uh, one of the first things that I had to buy was running shoes, because you get those little shopettes.
Yeah.
And so we had to go in there, and everybody's doing a line, and and had to get a pair of running shoes, and it was like I'm like sitting there going, man, I'm living high on the hog right now, because I mean, my mom and dad did their best, and they really worked to really kind of provide for us. My dad was in the Navy, he was a E7 when he retired, and nobody ever joins the military for the money, and he's trying to raise a family of 6 on Navy pay, and my mom's working part-time.
Wow, 6?
Yeah, 4 kids plus him and my mom, so it was like, and my dad felt bad, because I was the athletic one. I played, I went out for baseball, I played football, so I mean, I needed, cleats, I needed spikes, and I needed stuff to play. And then plus my brother and I, we were in Boy Scouts, so it's like spending all this money on camping items and stuff, But, so it's like my dad would feel bad, and he really wouldn't let on that it bothered him a whole lot growing up. So here I am, I'm sitting there going, I got Army money now. Yeah. So I mean, at the time, I thought I was doing pretty good, and spent $60 on a pair of Nike running shoes. I mean, granted, it's 1960. 1960. It's 1995.
Yeah.
And then I call home that night, right? Because I remember before I shipped out, and this was like my first big ticket item that I bought with Army money. I've always been a Red Sox fan, but King Griffey Jr. has always been my favorite player. And so when my dad retired from the Navy, we lived near Seattle, so I got to watch him play. And our mall here used to have a Champs. Well, we still have Champs Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they used to sell jerseys and stuff. I mean, it used to have a bigger selection than it does now. Back then they had an authentic King Griffey Jr. jersey, and I was like, and it was $60. It's the same one that you spend $270 on now.
Yeah.
So I called home. I was like, Mom, you need to, get the money out of my account and go down to the mall and buy this for me. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, please, just do that. Before it goes away. So she's like, well, I went and bought your jersey, and I'm like, yes. I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm glad that I bought it. In hindsight, but back then I probably should have just hung on to my money. But so I mean, we get our we get our downrange assignments for what basic training unit. Well, at least we're not doing this live.
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. Is a lot of people get like air conditioning and everything like that, and people just laugh at them. It's like Andy Snumps. You know who he is?
Name rings a bell.
He's a Navy SEAL. He does cleared hot.
Yeah.
And every time his air conditioner will come on and mess up the entire thing. He's like, yeah, I get freaking calls every time. I freaking thought I freaking turned it off. But anyways, go on. Ken Griffey Juicy shirt.
Yeah.
Griffin.
So we got our downrange assignments. for what units we were going to go to, what companies.
Now, did you do that in maps? Because I did that in maps beforehand, or you do that when you get in there?
When I signed up, I signed up on the delayed entry program, so I actually enlisted when I was 16. My dad had to sign the waiver, and basically, I enlisted the summers between my junior and senior year, and actually no, I signed up the spring of was it spring or fall? Anyway, I signed up during my senior year, and because I don't turn, my birthday's not till November, and I started at school a year early.
What day?
The 20th.
14th.
Ah, see, okay, Scorpios. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
But
the only reason why I ask on that one is because, okay, say you're like 17 and everything.
Yeah.
I had one person that she had to sign up when she was 17. She couldn't even shoot the rifle.
You know, I don't think they gave a shit back then. I mean,
no, this is like 2000.
No, well,
99.
I don't know, but I don't know. It might have been different because I was going infantry. But when my recruiter, I remember my recruiter's name, and he was actually a pretty decent guy because he didn't like try to sell me on Club Med, right? Staff Sergeant McDermott. I mean, the dude was ginger as the day is long, and he was an MP. Right?
Okay.
So we drove up. We had like 2 or 3 other guys in the car, and we drove up first thing in the morning. I mean, it was butt ass early. It was still dark, and you got guys dipping in the back seat, you know, and I'm 43. I mean, what's my parents gonna do? Ground me? Yeah, I was one of the guys dipping in the back seat. So it's like he was like, well, I got to take a piss. He's like, who wants to piss in Oklahoma? You know, we got a bunch of Texas dudes. We're like, hell yeah. We're going to piss all over Oklahoma. And it was like a divine sign from God as I'm looking back on it. We stopped at mile marker 101. Anyway, so we get to the MEP station. We go through all of our like physicals, and we take the the initial ASVAB, kind of a thing, to figure out what job we were going to be able to take. I knew what I wanted to take, so it didn't matter. But I scored high enough to where when I got to talk to the career counselor, he wanted to make me fire control specialist.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to humor you for a second. Where would this send me? He goes, no, Fort Sill. I was like, yeah, how about now? I want airborne infantry. He's like, well, you're going to take fire control. I said, I'm not going to sign today. I got up and walked away. I walked past my recruiter, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm not signing today. He's like, well, why not? So I told him. And he goes, come with me. And this career counselor is an E7. So my E6 recruiter pushes him out of the way and goes, airborne infantry right there. How come you wouldn't give him what he wanted? He goes, well, I've got a quota to fill. He goes, I don't give a fuck about your quota.
Yeah.
I've got a guy that I'm going to put into boots.
What's really sad is if you waited like 5 years, I think that would be 5. You said 96?
95.
95. Okay, so 6 years. If you waited 6 years, it wouldn't even be measured on that.
Yeah.
Because they were like free, they were given like 9 times the enlistment bonus for a lot of careers.
Yeah, see, I knew what I wanted to do, and I wasn't looking at enlistment bonuses. I wasn't looking at any of that crap. I mean, I was just like, I want to do 4 years. I want to sign up for the initial 4 years, and then go from there. But I wanted airborne infantry, and so this guy, he tries to be a smartass. He says, well, when you want Ranger? And I said, not yet, because you'll see a lot of guys that, when they enlist, they enlist with a Ranger contract, and I think that that's a mistake, because if you fail at a Ranger, at a pre-Ranger or Ranger, it's called RIP, Ranger Indoctrination Period.
Yeah.
If you go straight from basic to airborne to RIP, and you fail at a RIP, then you become needs of the Army. And then they'll just send you in.
Well, that's the same for any of them.
Yeah. Whereas if you wait till later in your career and you decide that you want to go to Ranger school, you can fail out of Ranger school, fine. But you just go back to your unit.
Could you imagine being a bozeman Basically, you paint the ship.
Yeah, no, screw all that.
There's some people that went in as embowsmen and they went to like SEAL training. They passed.
Yeah, yeah. Because
no, not even that. It was just, which would you rather do?
Mm-hmm.
Just paint a ship every day for the rest of your career,
or go play with guns. Yeah, but so I got my ship date, which was 25 July 95. And signed my paperwork, raised my right hand. My recruiter walked into the house with me when we got back here. And my dad's like, well, what'd you get? So I handed him my contract. And, he knew that I wanted to join the Army, but at the same time, he's a dad. So, when he saw that it was Airborne Infantry, he just kind of, okay, and my dad's one of my heroes, so it's one of those. He told me, I'm not going to support, but I'm not going to condone, but I'm not going to condemn your decision because it's your life. It's what you want to do. He wouldn't have let me join the Navy because, long periods of boredom on a ship. You do stupid crap.
Unless you did something really smart and go to Seabees. Dude.
Yeah, okay, that aside, I didn't want to join the Navy. I mean, I knew that I wanted to be in the Army, because, it just fit, But, so, get down range, and this was the days of the shark attack.
Yeah.
We showed up in cattle cars. Nut to butt, make your buddy smile. You got 30, 40 guys packed into a cattle car that's only designed for maybe 20, And so, we're falling out. We got our personal bag. We got our duffel bag, And drill sergeant screaming in your ear, all up in your face, every 10 steps. Get down, get down, get down. You're not moving fast enough. Go left, go right, And, but we just knew that was going to be part of it, you didn't have anybody sitting there looking at the drill sergeant in the face going, you don't have shit for me, because this is basic training, and we all knew that we signed up to go do a job, and a lot of these guys had CIBs from Desert Storm, so we were, we were in awe. Because, here we've got these brand new BDUs. We don't even have the embroidered name tapes. We got those silk print, those printed ones, right?
Yeah.
We see guys walking around with embroidered name tapes and their BDUs are kind of faded. And we were like, those guys, wow, those guys are, whoa, they were kind of like, we were fangirling a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But.
You had a man crush. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's okay, but we get down range, and this is day 0. We're getting introduced to our cadre. You'll always have that one or two guys in your respective platoons that hey, this person's going to be the character. I told you that my cowboy hat had made it to basic training. Yeah. Well, they made it to day 0.
Oh wow! And
this is before we had to pack all of our personal stuff in the locker, right? And so, you dump your personal bags again, and you had to put everything in a big pile on your bunk.
Uh-huh.
Well, my cowboy hat had been crushed at this point.
Oh.
It was a straw hat. It was totally fine.
Okay.
It basically went from being a hat that I'd wear out in public to a hat that I'd wear in the house when I'm drinking beer.
Okay.
And it was sitting on top. And this drill sergeant, he was an E5 at the time, Sergeant Rude, R-U-D-E.
That was his actual name?
That was his actual name.
Oh,
and he's walking by.
That's gotta...
He's walking by, and he passes my bunk, and he stops. He backs up a step, and he looks. And there's this cowboy hat sitting there. He takes off his drill sergeant hat. He puts it on the bunk. Takes my cowboy hat and puts it on. And he goes, do I look like a cowboy? Do I look like somebody who would take their sister or take a cow to the prom? And to this day, I do not know what possessed me. I would like I would like to think that my father raised me better than this. But out of my mouth, it started to escape, and before I realized what was happening, it was already hanging there. I said, "Drill Sergeant, you ought not to talk about your sister that way." and, you know, like that scene in Blazing Saddles when the sheriff walks into the saloon for the first time and everything, including the smoke, stops in midair?
Yeah.
This happened. I mean, the world stopped turning for just a second. You know, it was like, slammed on the brakes. Our inertial dampeners, like on the Enterprise, are going crazy because there's too much to keep up with. And you see this vein start to pop up on the side of his head. And he's like, "What did you say to me?" I mean, he got in my face, right? And instead of saying, "Nothing, Drill Sergeant," I said, "Drill Sergeant."
You repeated it?
I said, "You ought not to talk about your sister that way." And he just like...
I can't believe you repeated it.
He was like, "What in the world?" You know, and that was my introduction to the knife hand. and I mean, it's just chaos, right? All these drill sergeants are like, "Holy shit." And he's just like, "Rah." I don't remember half of what came out of this guy's mouth. All I know is I'm sitting there thinking, well, 17 years was a good ride, you know. Our senior drill instructor, our senior drill instructor, I mean, this dude, I mean, he was probably like 6'4", 6'5", tall, lanky black guy. And he talked just like this. And he walks in, nobody calls at ease. And he's like, "What the fuck is going on in here? Nobody won't call damn at ease." You know, I mean, it's like, well, senior damn ass drill instructor. You know, it's like, and everybody just kind of goes, I mean, I'm standing there at parade rest. I mean, I'm afraid to move, right? I'm a statue. And every drill sergeant just kind of goes like that, you know. You could hear it. It was like a scene in Scrubs, you know.
Yeah.
And you hear him go, "Drill sergeant, the fuck is on your head?" he's like, takes it off and puts his round brown back on, and he's like, "No, I want you to explain yourself. What the fuck was on your head?" And he's like, "This private cowboy hat." He goes, "Why were you chewing his ass?" That's what I want to fucking know right now, you know. And he told him, he goes, you know, he told me I'd not to talk about my sister that way. And he goes, "Hold up." He walks over, and I'm thinking, I am about to die. You know, I'm sweating. I got that sweat rolling down the crack of my ass. I'm just like,
Basically, you can make diamonds.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm like, there was an event horizon right there where my asshole was. I mean, I was puckered that hard. And he's like, you told this drill sergeant that he ought not to talk about his sister like that? And then you fucking repeated it?" I was like, "Yes, drill sergeant." He goes, "Oh, you a funny motherfucker." "Oh, I like this guy. I like this private. I'm going to skin you up." And he's like, the drill sergeant goes, "Drill sergeant, he needs to do push-up." He says, "Nope, you will not smoke this private. He got your ass." And I'm sitting there going, I'm like, do I smile? Do I smirk? Nope, I'm just going to stand right fucking here, you know.
But in the back of your mind, all you heard is, "It's a trap! It's a trap!"
You know, yeah, I mean, Admiral Akbar the whole time is like, "It's a trap," you know, and it's like, oh, God. You know, but, you know, I mean, because you've got three different types of privates. You've got your smart ones who know all the answers. You've got your strong ones who get smoked for everything. And then you get the intelligently strong ones who know the answers, but they fuck it up on purpose just so they can get smoked. That was my platoon in basic training. You know, we knew the answers, and I mean, because we got honor platoon during our training cycle. So, you know, we had like one guy fall out because he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with his rifle if he threw it at it. You know, but everybody else qualified with our weapons. We did everything above the standard, and you know, we just kind of made everybody else look bad, you know. But you know, basic training for me you know, I mean, I got in after they stopped allowing drill sergeants to put their hands on people, you know, which I guess to a degree is okay. You know, it's fine. But, you know, with this whole doing away with the shark attack thing that they've started.
I think they re-implemented it because of after the.
And I really hope that they did because, you know, while I agree with the premise of the whole problem solving thing that they tried to start, you know, you get off here, you're going to be in this squad, and you guys go solve this problem. You're really, to me, that's setting people up for failure because you're putting them in a situation where they have to solve a problem without the proper training.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, you know, the point of basic training was to break people down to their basic chemical compositions and rebuild them in the image that the Army needed.
Exactly.
You know, or just the military in general. You know, whether it be Air Force TIs, I think they're called.
Yeah. Basically, what you're doing is you're breaking them down to the point where they, by the end of the transition, they're going to work as a team.
Yeah, you know, and then that's just kind of like the thing with like the basic rifle marksmanship program. It was like they kind of really preferred that you had not been a hunter before you got in because you had those bad habits. You know, like, okay, I know how to breathe, and you know, it's like, no, they need you to start over from a clean slate.
Oh, my brother-in-law kind of screwed everybody when he was doing his shooting, because the armor was like, okay, this is let's see how you shoot. If you need any adjustments, just let me know. Let me help you out. And he literally, it was like that big. That was his shooting regiment.
Yeah.
It was a dime.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck, you don't need me. So he just head up into the freaking tower and drank his coffee the rest of the day.
Yeah. You know, I mean, but for me, basic training, you know, whether they include all of this equal opportunity training, what do they call them, sharps now, or whatever it is, I forget.
I don't know.
But like all this extra time to do the, you know, don't bully people and don't look down upon this group or that group. It's like, you know, it's not the military's job to babysit somebody else, you know, somebody else's kids.
Exactly.
You know, we're there, you know, those drill sergeants are there to create soldiers, create Marines, you know, create airmen.
What's really sad about the whole situation, though, is the only way a lot of these people would work together and basically be friends, no racism, no nothing, combat. Hands down, combat.
Well,
and it's a horrible thing to say, but until you have a group of people that really hate each other and they're getting shot at and they all have to work together to survive.
Well, see, that's the point of the drill sergeants, though.
Yeah.
They're not there to be your friends. You know, just like our parents. Our parents, their job was not to be our best friend. You know, their job, it was to raise us to be responsible human beings.
Yeah.
You know, we've got, you know, parents now that will throw their kids in front of a video game console, or they'll throw them in front of a phone, and you know, just let them, you know, do that. You know, it's like that's okay to a degree, you know, but be active, be actively engaged with your kids. You know, those drill sergeants are not there to raise you; they're there to mold you. And you know, so the whole idea, like you were saying, is like here, you take this group of people and just shoot at them. Yes and no. Okay.
Yeah.
Because in order for people to be able to survive, you still need that foundation of training, and you know you're going to build that esprit de corps, that camaraderie, that brotherhood, regardless of the situation, because those drill sergeants are there. And I've even, if I remember correctly, our senior drill instructor, Sergeant First Class Lowe, you know, he. You know, I mean, he flat out told us, he goes, you will hate me, you will talk shit about me behind my back, but I'm not here to be your friend. It's like, I'm here to make you into a soldier. So that way your unit can fuck you up later. You know? and you know, so even though he was hard on us, you know, he understood that, you know, I mean, Sergeant Lowe was, you know, he was my first introduction to what a really excellent NCO is supposed to look like. You know, he took the time to learn about his soldiers. He took the time to, you know, train us properly. And we went out of our way to get smoked by him because it was fun. It was a team building exercise to get smoked by Sergeant Lowe, you know. But, you know, we had that overbearing first sergeant Baron. I mean, this guy looked like a straight. I mean, it was like somebody went to an SS unit back in the 40s, grabbed him, taught him perfect English, and said, "You will train American soldiers in the 90s." I mean, this guy was like 42, 43 when I was in basic training, and he was, you know, he would sign up and participate in the best ranger competition every year for fun.
Oh, wow.
You know, I mean, like, he would carry 2 5-gallon water cans in his rucksack when we do our ruck marches. You know, he was the kind of first sergeant that had his kids walking in step in a parade rest when they'd come to a stop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of those guys. You know, his introduction to us on day 1, or day 0 rather, was, it kind of reminded me of a WWE promo. You know, he came in and he just put his hands on the podium, and he just put his head down, and he just took a deep breath, and we're all just like, what's going on? And then he just slams his hand down on the podium. I mean, boom, right? Man, your PT scores are shit. He's like, who's got a Ranger contract? And so the guys that had Ranger would raise their hands. He goes, your scuffing begins now.
Oh, wow.
Get in the front line of rest, start knocking out push-ups. So they're doing push-ups. He's like, who's got Airborne? You know, the rest of us raised our hands. Your scuffing begins now. Get on down and do some push-ups, you know. It's like, everybody else, shame. Shame on you. Shame on you for not wanting to be high speed. Get on down and start doing some push-ups. We were just like, what the hell, you know? But, and I mean, he promised us that we would crawl out of basic training. And we had OSIT training, one station unit training at Fort Benning. So you had basically the same group of drill sergeants for 13 weeks.
Okay.
You know, 8 weeks for basic training, then 5 weeks for our AIT, where they taught us our individualized infantry specialties. And he's like, you will crawl out of basic training. And so, and we did. Literally, we did, because it was a nighttime movement thing, so we went up through these woods to this trench line, and they were like, do not pick your heads up. You will high crawl, or you will low crawl, and there will be no 3 to 5 second rushes. And we were like, oh, okay. And we start hearing 60s going off, and you could hear the, you know, going overhead. We'd see tracers flying over, and we're like, what the fuck? They're like, get over the wall and stay low, stay low. So we're crawling. I mean, I think in hindsight, it was probably like 5 foot, 5 foot elevated fire. You know, I mean, they just had these, they were on tripods, and they were locked in, and they didn't move. You know, they couldn't depress the fire, but, you know, it was just 5 feet. So, I mean, theoretically,
but still,
here it is. You know,
when you see something whizzing by or hear something whizzing by, you still clinch.
And you're like, man, God, Lord, what is going on? You know, they had flares going off. They had those old pyro pots that were put into berms or whatever, and they would just, they would light those up. And it was like 50 meters or something like that we had to crawl, and we were just like, what the fuck is going on? So we couldn't stand up until we were past the firing line. But, so at that point we were officially soldiers. We just weren't infantrymen yet. But, when we went through our individualized training, we were starting to get a lot more freedoms. As far as like not having to have a drill sergeant walk us everywhere, we'd still have to march like to the PX or
Yeah,
stuff
that was
like
the same. That was the same thing when we were doing services training. Is
Yeah.
we always had a march to get to our place and everything like that. So,
But
I think that that's a better transition going in than going out.
yeah. Well, I mean as far as like transitioning to civilian life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they keep you steadily keep that training, and when you get out of your school, you're not like ripping your clothes off and just running around butt naked when you get to your duty station.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thought crosses your mind, but that's usually because you're under the influence. But,
Or you're crazy.
yeah, that's too. But, when we had our field exercise, our FTX at the end of our AIT, right? So I mean, it was like a practical, everybody's wearing miles gear, this, that, We had our 12-mile road march coming back in, and when
Did you still have gear from like Vietnam era during that time?
we had Alice packs and stuff like that.
Okay.
It was the suspenders,
Okay.
the web belts, but we had M16A2s. We had we had Kevlars. We weren't wearing steel pots, anything like that. They started wearing Kevlars like in the 80s. But,
Okay.
It. When I tell you what though, I mean when we came back in from our field exercise and we went through a ceremony called what they call turning blue. It's where you're given your infantry cross rifles, your blue disc background or your blue backgrounds for your discs, for your lapels,
Okay.
and your infantry cord. Single-handedly, that was probably one of the proudest moments of my life.
Okay.
And there was a lot of us like at this point. I mean, we're still kids, but I mean, we're grown, and we're crying, and they let us call home, and to this day, and I blame basic training for this, I cannot stand Lee Greenwood's "God Bless the USA."
Really?
I just every time I hear that song, I'm just like, oh God, it's a great song. Don't get me wrong,
Oh, it's like Full Metal Jacket. I can't watch that movie anymore, and it's because hands down, every freaking basic training, once they're done with the boot camp and everything like that, and they're in their respective tech school or whatever school you're going to, and constantly watching that movie, especially the basic training part where they kill the drill instructor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really, guys? I mean, I've literally seen that movie 100 times in segments, and you can complete that 100 times that I've seen it in segments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's on my list of movies that I absolutely love. But
no, I love that movie beforehand, but I just can't watch it anymore because I've seen it so many times.
Well, I mean, but like, okay, so the thing with this song, it's like, okay, so they were blaring it when we walked in, right? It's like, God bless, I'm just like, oh God, every Sunday they played it, for church services, and back then it was like I wasn't saved back then, I just kind of went through the motions, and it was like you go to church Sunday services on Sundays to get out of cleaning the barracks.
Yeah.
But they every Sunday they sang it. Every chance they got, they were playing this song, and I'm just like, do we not have anything else that we can play? But like I'm sitting there calling my mom and dad. I mean, I'm choked up. I mean, like my voice is hoarse because we're yelling and screaming, and all I remember was saying I did it, and I have to call you later, and like the next day, like weapons cleanup was a pain in the ass. Everybody had like salt caked on their boots, and because we crawled through some like storm drains and shit like that. So, I mean, our stuff was jacked up, but. We started our out processing for, people getting orders to go to this duty station or this duty station or this duty station. And I knew I was going to go to the Airborne school because I was going to go to Airborne.
Was that Fort Benning?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we were just basically, there was a handful of us that were going to get a cattle card ride across the main post from Sand Hill, and we were going to go over there and start, airborne school. But, I wanted to go to the 82nd so bad, because I'm like, I'm signing up to be a paratrooper. And then I get you'll report to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. I'm just like, but then, a lot of the guys that I was in basic training with were going there too. So I was like, all right. A lot of us that, we were in the same platoon, so we knew what our MOS was going to be. So we knew we'd be able to find each other, But, went to airborne school right after.
Yeah, Airborne school, that's just learning how to parachute, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got your ground week, tower week, and you get your jump
What's really
week.
sad is I did parachuting on myself, and everybody was telling me, it's like, oh, parachuting 3 week course. And I'm like, I spent like 3 days, dude. Literally, if you look at it, and I've talked to people that have actually done like airborne school and everything like that. They're like, oh, it's this time frame and everything. I was like, yeah, I learned that. Yeah, I learned that. No, I didn't have to learn that. I didn't have to learn that. And the only reason why I don't do parachuting anymore is because I found a gopher hole.
See, I love jumping. I do. I mean, I was scared of heights. I had a fear of heights. And and my fear of heights did not get cured until I went up and jumped off the 250-foot jump tower.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you have to take control of a canopy, you look to your right, and there's this huge steel structure that's been there for the better part of a century. And you're having to guide yourself down away from the structure and then conduct a PLF. It kind of takes that fear away, But the reason why I think that the airborne school is as long as it is, I mean, they have to go over so much information, and they want to make sure that it's drilled into your head because, you're going to get those occasional people that will freeze, and it's a safety hazard. So just like anything else.
Yeah, especially when one of your chutes don't actually.
Yeah, I mean, they go through all the.
You have to.
Yeah, they go through all the different types of malfunctions, different procedures. I mean, that way it's just drilled into you to where it's just muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's like my first jump. I remember a couple of things from my first jump, but everything else was just muscle memory. I remember one thing on my first jump was, they told us that when you inspect your canopy and gain canopy control, is that you have to look at the panels to make sure that you don't have any blowouts.
Okay, what's a blowout?
When a panel rips away, right?
Oh, okay.
It's just sitting there flapping in the wind, and you have more air passing through your chute than it should.
Oh, wow, okay.
So they said if you have a hole in a panel big enough for a Kevlar to fall through, cut away and pull your reserve. I look up, and there's a panel just flapping away. And I'm like, yeah, a body could fall through that, but I am not fucking cutting this this main. Hell no. Just no. I don't trust that reserve, because I remember they told us in during Tower Week, like, that reserve is not designed to get you down comfortably. It's designed to get you down safely.
Man.
And I'm just like, oh no, just don't. I just don't want to do it. I didn't want to be that guy. So I rode that sucker in, and I remember hitting the ground, did my PLF. I didn't feel.
What's the PLF?
Parachute landing fall.
Okay.
There's 5 points of contact.
It's just for the people that don't know.
Yeah, you get your 5 points of contact. You got the balls of your feet. You got the calf. You've got the side of your leg, your thigh. Your ass is your fourth point of contact, which is where we get the pull your head out of your fourth point of contact.
Okay.
And then you've got the small of your shoulders right here. That's the fifth point of contact. And when you roll over there, you're supposed to kick your feet out, and that's supposed to disperse all that energy out through the bottom of your feet, and just kind of give it somewhere to go. Otherwise, I mean, paratroopers get shorter anyway the longer that they jump.
Yeah.
But
because all the jumps, what they do is
compresses the spine. Yeah.
Presses the spine to the point where all the liquid in the spine goes away.
Right. But I'm sitting there, and I remember hitting the ground, did my PLF, and I'm laying there in some tall grass, and I'm like, I just jumped out of a plane, and I'm looking, and the plane that I was just riding in is flying off that way, and I'm like, That is cool because I'm still 17 at this point.
Okay.
I didn't turn 18 until day 2 of jump week.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I got to jump twice on my 18th birthday.
Oh, honestly.
You know, and they say that there's a thing like, I don't know if they still do it or not. It's called Keeper of the Wings, or the youngest person going through that particular class has to keep a set of airborne wings up underneath his pocket flap, and they're inspectable. So he has to shine them every day.
Oh.
You know, and, you know, I was turning 18 during jump week, and then there was this one other kid. He turned 18 like the day we started jump week. Right, so I mean, technically I was younger, but he just threw this huge pissy fit. I'm younger. I'm like, you know what, dude? Whatever. It's one less thing for me to fucking keep up with. So you go on. You know. So, but day 2 rolls around. We're out there on the cables. You know, in formation, getting ready to move out to the jump branch, and Black Cats call me out. They're like, roster number 113, front and center, and I'm like, Airborne. So I get all the way up there. Today's your birthday, correct? Clear sergeant, Airborne. Well, you get to be first out the door for both of your jumps today. And I'm like, Airborne. So he's like, get out of my face. I'm going to have to go back to my squad. And then, so, I mean, we're, you know, but it was really cool. I mean, I loved jumping, you know.
Yeah, it was fun other than the time I found the gopher hole and twisted my knee.
Well,
but,
yeah, you know.
But it really is exhilarating because you get the sense of the world at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like you're able to see everything. You're able to it's just a really weird energy,
and you really develop a very, very healthy respect for 550 cord at that point.
Yeah.
you know, because like everybody's like, oh, 550 cord's the shit, and it's like, yeah, okay, but you don't make that connection until you're hanging from a harness at 1,200 feet, you know, and you're like, oh, and it just kind of bing, like, you know, like a light bulb. But, you know, graduated airborne school, and my dad got to pin my wings on.
Oh, cool.
You know, my dad, he, you know, like I said, 20-year Navy guy. I told him, I said, I don't want you guys showing up for my basic graduation. He kind of gave me this weird look. I said, well, I want you there for my airborne graduation because I want you to pin my wings on. Oh, my dad was all about that. You know, so my dad, you know, he squeezed into his dress blues, and, you know, the Navy, you know, the dress blues, they got that white service cap, you know,
the one that you have to buy when you get it, or it turns yellow afterwards.
Yeah. So, you know, on the last day of jump week, we were there for jumps 4 and 5. I exited the aircraft. I'm checking my direction and drift, and I'm looking at the marshalling area where they've got all the stands at. And I see this white speck. And I'm like, yep, that's my dad. So I'm trying to pull a riser slip to get as close as I can, you know, over there. And just the wind was not cooperating, so it was carrying me out to the far side of the drop zone. So I was just like, you know what, whatever, fuck it. I'm just going to let this thing ride. So I hit the ground, pack up my chute, and I'm running off the drop zone. And I am just making a complete ass of myself. I'm like, airborne infantry, hooah, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was that guy, hooah, you know. I was the hooah guy, you know. But,
oh, as long as you're not the Blue Falcon.
when was running, I mean, I'm hauling ass past my dad, just full stride, just sprinting it out, right? And, you know, so I get over there, turn my chute into the rigger, and went over to the Black Hat. I'd got my canteen and my soft cap, and I was like, you know, can I go over there, right there, and, you know, go talk to my parents? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So I run over there. I'm like, hey guys, you know, and he's like, well, is that it? And it's like, no, we got one more jump after this. But the winds were starting to pick up across drop zones. So it's like, I think safety protocols for the airborne school is like 14 knots. You can't jump anything over that. But like winds were gusting like 22, 25 miles, you know, 22 to 25 knots over the drop zone.
Okay.
And they were like, well, you've got a choice. We could either jump into these high winds, or we could have everybody come back after Thanksgiving and we finish up. Well, I was one of the people that just wanted to jump because I knew that my parents wouldn't have been able to afford another trip out there.
And at this time, Deadpool 2 hadn't come out.
No. Not that it would have mattered anyway. But I mean, we unanimously as a class decided that we were going to jump into the winds, you know. So we did. We were in the air for like a good 45 minutes longer, circling the drop zone, waiting for the winds to die. And by the time that we started to drop, the sun was starting to go down. So, and it was about 45 minutes before sunset. And so, you know, we're jumping in, and basically jumping into graduation. My dad pins my wings on, and you know, this is back when you could give people blood wings, you know. So he punches my wings, and it breaks the pin off in my chest.
Oh, ow!
I'm bleeding, and he pulls them out to put the little frogs on the back, you know, the dammits.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, there's a pin missing." I said, "Yep, it's in my chest," you know. And so I had.
Is it still there?
No.
Okay.
I dug it out that night because I couldn't even go out and have dinner with my parents.
Oh.
Because I had to. I was on duty. I had hall guard or whatever it was, right? Where you know you'd sit there at the door.
Just guard duty.
Yeah, it's just guard duty. So I'm sitting there with a buddy's Leatherman, sitting there, no shirt on, and I'm digging these needle nose around because I bought the Gerber. Right, but the Gerber had the regular pliers on them, the good ones, you know. Yeah. But you know, everybody else had needle nose Leathermans, and I'm like, whatever. So I'm sitting there digging around with these needle nose, and this black hat comes up, the airborne instructor, and I went to go call at ease, and he goes, "What are you doing?" and I'm like, I pull it out, and there's a chunk of meat hanging off the end of this pin.
Oh my god!
And he goes, "Did you just? Is that muscle? Is that meat?" I'm like. Clear Sergeant Airborne. He goes, "That is out fucking standing." And you're not supposed to cuss on school grounds. Like if you cuss on school grounds, you got to do 10 push-ups, right? You know, right there. And so I mean, he's just like, "That's out fucking standing," right? And he's like, "Carry on." "Oh damn, Airborne, carry on." So like that made him hard, dude. I'm like,
okay. It's one of those balls, breast balls.
You know, and I'm bleeding, and my buddy sticks his head out, and he was going to, you know, he was going to be a medic.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Dude," and I'm like, "Yeah, you got a Band-Aid?" So he's like, "Yeah, hold on a minute." So he goes and gets a Band-Aid, you know. I mean, you know, but like the next day we went to, you know, do our final out processing and to be released, and I was going to go home for 10 days before I reported. So I mean, I took my leave then, but we're walking around. We got our berets on, you know. We got jump boots on. We thought we were hot shit, you know. And we had, some of us had bought the old Oakley frog skin sunglasses.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we're like, those things were the shit back then, you know. It's like, but I mean, they were like $60 then. Like $220 ones now, or you know, they were $60 back then. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, you know. And this is Ranger instructor, because they were there. The Ranger guys from Darby had come down to pick up the Ranger contract guys for their rip. And these guys are just like, they are literally larger than life. Like, you know, you walk up to a professional athlete and they tower over you. You know, I mean, like, this dude was just like solid. He was all man, you know, like solid muscle.
See, I didn't get that because most of the Tier 1 people that I've met through my job and everything like that, I literally towered over.
You know, I mean, but like here we are, you know, I just turned 18. We're literally kids.
Okay, yeah.
You know, a lot of us just graduated basic, and now here we are graduating airborne school. And these guys are Rangers, you know, and we're just like, these guys are as hard as woodpecker lips, you know, so we're, you know, we tried not to make eye contact with them. And then we hear out of the corner, and we hear, "Hey, Peachtree, come here." Right? We're like, "Oh, shit." So we turn and we snap to parade rest. He's like, "Are those sunglasses authorized?" I was like, "I'm not sure, Ranger." He goes, "At least you know how to address me properly, but here's a hint. They're not." He's like, and so we snatched them off of our faces and went back to parade rest. And he goes, "If I see those on your face while you're in uniform again today, I'm going to rip them off your head, and I'm going to shove them up your ass. Have I made myself clear?" We're like, "Yes, Ranger." He's like, "Move out, carry on." So we were like, "Oh, fuck." So, I mean, I went over there. I was like, I called my dad over. I was like, "Here, take these." He goes, "Why aren't you wearing them?" I was like, "To see that guy with the beret over there?" He's like, the black one, because this is back when the Rangers could still wear the black beret.
Yeah.
You know, before the Army decided to give everybody a beret, like, yay! I'm like, shut up, God. You know,
Yeah.
you want a beret, earn one. But, you know, I was like, see the guy with the black beret over there? He's like, yeah, guys. Like, he said he was going to shove these in my ass if I had them on my face. They're not authorized, apparently. He goes, oh. It's like, I was like, just hang on to them. So, you know, we went through our final formation, you know, briefing from the commander, and they released us, and, you know, went home on leave for 10 days. But,